First thing I wanted to say is that as Archbishop, I am doing a whole lot of things. HIV and AIDS is a very important thing, but you can understand that I don't spend most of my time running after HIV and AIDS patients. But I have people who do it, and I empower them, and I put in the structures for that to happen. And I try my best to deliver the right kind of message. I wish those people are here to tell their own story. But just to let you know that I'm only telling other people's story. Stigma and discrimination. Our own experience in my country is that this whole question of stigma and discrimination was based largely on widespread fear at the beginning. The idea that HIV and AIDS, once it is detected, is a death sentence. You had only a few months at most. And besides that, it was terribly contagious. With this fear, it became a situation where either if you are HIV positive, please don't let anybody know. And once people know, you are in trouble. So I didn't see the responsibility of religious group at this stage. It was largely the general feeling around. I must confess, though, that there were some religious groups that preached this old sermon of God's punishment, but I think they are more in the minority. There is the problem we also have in Nigeria. Up till now, our religious leaders, especially some Christian groups who don't believe in medicine, miracle churches, who tell you HIV and AIDS is no problem, bring it to the church, believe in God and pray, and you will be delivered. It's not your portion. And sometimes what worries me is they then set up a small clinic nearby to test. You come with your case, the pastor prays, and then you go to the clinic, and the clinic confirms that you are now HIV clear. And I say that worries me because I fear that there is some kind of game going on there. Eventually, those same people end up in my clinics after the disease has gone a little bit too far. That's the problem we are having in my country right now. People are still offering miracles. Of course, as an archbishop, I have to believe in miracle. But then there's a limit. There's a limit to how much you can expect God to be solving every problem at every stage. I'm sure our Lord God has much more important things to do. So these are the issues from the religious point of view. As for what are we doing, our first point is precisely to offer accurate information. Tell people what is HIV and AIDS, and as we got to know more and more about it, the work became more and more easy. We're able to let people know you don't get HIV and AIDS by caring for people. You don't get HIV and AIDS if you are in the same office with them, and so on and so forth. We also intensify the Christian orientation of care for anybody who is in need, the imperative of love for all. Above all, we tried our best to debunk the whole story of linking HIV and AIDS with moral misbehavior. And it's not difficult to do. You tell them, okay, what about the child born with HIV and AIDS? Is he suffering for the sin of his mother or father? What about the innocent partner of a reckless spouse? A woman who got HIV and AIDS, never gone out of her matrimonial home. And what about healthcare workers who, in their anxiety, in their zeal to work for people, and my people do that often in the clinics, they bring in accident patients, blood all over the place, and you are trying your best to save life, but all the time risking. Here in Europe, you are all very familiar with, you are very careful about whom you touch, gloves all over the place. Don't think it's like that everywhere. Sometimes just to save life is the first thing. And the risk that you run, many people run that risk. And I believe God blesses them for it. And in fact, I'm sure God must protect them for it. As for prevention, we believe too that the best prevention is good information so that people know. Scientific information so that people know how HIV and AIDS is spread. You will understand as a Catholic Archbishop, we specialize in A and B, and we do not talk too much about C. So we insist on abstinence, we insist on being faithful among married couples, and we believe that this is our strong point, especially as many other people are not talking about it. Or they simply talk about it as completely impracticable. And it gets me worried when people go around saying, these young boys will sleep around anyway. I say, who told you that? How much of them do you know? We have taken the trouble to organize our young people. And I want to say that I have seen wonderful results in peer group relationship. The young people among themselves. You tell them, my children, you want to kill yourself? Sleep around. But if you want to live long and be a pride to your parents, these are no longer the days for sleeping around. You might say it's a crude message, but we give it, they listen, and they take their own informed decision as regards whether they will delay sex activity or how much of it they will do. But I do believe it is our duty to do that. That doesn't mean that one is discriminating against anybody or not having care and compassion. Then there is the normal care of those already infected. In Nigeria, we have NACA, Nigerian Action Against HIV and AIDS. So in our church, we have CACA, that is Catholic Action Against HIV and AIDS. Very, very effective network, even at our different levels. And what I want to particularly highlight in this is the amount of voluntary work being done through the church organizations and through the families. Lot of work is done for which nobody is asking for any money. And I'm always impressed when I see this gentleman, young and old, in front of my church on Sunday, knocking a bucket, money for CACA, meaning bring money so that we can help those who are living with HIV and AIDS. Now, our institutions, everybody knows we have clinics and hospitals in many parts, almost as much. We cover more people than anybody else. The Minister of Health in Nigeria did agree that more than 30% of healthcare, especially the rural areas, is done through our institutions. All of them are full-scale involved in HIV/AIDS work, especially VCT, voluntary counseling and testing, as well as the prevention of mother-to-child transmission. And of course, within the limits that we have, we also go into ART. But I must say that this so-called universal access, even in Nigeria, is still a very, very long way off. We get just a few doses, which we distribute as much as we can. I think we ought to put this whole discussion within the context of healthcare in general. And it's no point just talking about AIDS if you don't have a healthcare system that works. If you don't have hospitals that can handle ordinary malaria and diarrhea, how will they handle HIV and AIDS? And that brings to my mind what a situation that we now have on our hands. Funding agencies abroad are all falling over each other to give us money, provided you work on AIDS. And we get nothing to keep our institutions running well. I keep making the case to the funding agencies abroad, and I don't seem to get any good hearing. Because I do believe if our health institutions are working well, it will take care of everything. I'm not saying that they shouldn't give money for HIV and AIDS, but when I end up with my health services doing nothing else, then something is gone imbalance somewhere along the line.